Ondo forests are becoming the death knell of the southwest. Ritualists and blood-sucking demons have taken over the land, who stole our peace. The virtues of yesterday are buried in the cesspit of avarice, greed, and irascible decadence. We in our fast-aging generation can claim we had virtues and great discipline. In this, there are nuggets of hope which our children can build for a rebirth of the nation. We can collectively resolve to make the difference and take steps towards changing the narrative. Our children, certainly, deserve a better and brighter future, not memories of the good old days. As an ardent believer in this drive, I therefore join my good friend, Sir Shemore Badejo, in this patriotic drive towards a greater tomorrow. Thank you.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Kaduna State government bans motorcycle operations and cuts telecommunication services in some areas as insecurity increases.
Nigeria ranks low in digital quality of life survey.
And Air Peace gets bashing for delaying flights for more than 3 hours and getting passengers arrested. You're welcome to the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's a beautiful Thursday morning in Lagos. I am Annetta Felix.
And I am Osaugi Ogboa. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday. It looks like it might be a wet Thursday morning across Lagos. If you look outside your window, I felt like it was going to rain this morning. So just keep that in mind as you step out of the house this morning. And we hope that it's going to be a very, very beautiful Thursday.
Yes. And our first top trending story really follows from what you said yesterday when there were unconfirmed reports of the murder of the husband of the former boss of the Nigeria or National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. The news has finally been confirmed, and what we're hearing in some quarters is that his death might have been at the hand of IPOB militants. That's still unconfirmed. The question remains, who killed Chike Akunyili? The story really says that yesterday he attended a function where he even donated money. It was a function to honor his wife, his late wife, and then this happened. I mean, eyewitnesses say we saw him, he donated money to us, at least 500,000 naira, and he was leaving. We all hugged him, said goodbye, and later we saw videos, very, gruesome videos of him in a suit and a tie, as well as a pants as well, and then that video too gory to even describe what happened there. But it's something that has left questions in the minds of many Nigerians. Who really killed Chike Akunyili and for what reasons?
As we would expect, with many other situations like this, it's always expected that we may never know the truth with regards to this. The video, I have chosen to not watch it, and I hope that I never get to watch it because I don't think I want to ever have that memory of Chike Akunyili in that position or, like that. It's really sad and really painful, and I've said it this week multiple times that Nigeria can happen to you at any time, but I don't even think that Chike Akunyili deserves to be put into that narrative because of how painful this is, and that's why I started yesterday by saying it wasn't confirmed yet, but it's also going to be one of the most shocking things that will happen this week. And as always, it's also expected painfully that we would still move on from this. This will not be in any way enough for the Nigerian government, the Southeastern government, for everyone who is concerned or who is relevant to take new steps to ensure that there's security and safety of lives and property in the Southeast and across Nigeria. This would not be a big shock. Painfully, and that's where we found ourselves in Nigeria. I've asked this multiple times, like what would be that thing that would be big enough to get the Nigerian government to understand how much they have failed with regards to protection of lives and property. What would be big enough for the Nigerian people themselves to look at and say, okay, this this is the straw that has broken the camel's back. What exactly would that thing be? It's obviously not death. It's not death of hundreds, neither is it death of popular people. It's not death of the good, the bad, or the ugly. It's really just absolutely nothing. And that's how thick-skinned or maybe dead inside that Nigerians have become to certain things. It hurts, because the Akunyilis basically gave their all to Nigeria. Chike was a medical doctor. I remember his hospital in Transikulu. He was able to successfully build a new one a few years ago, or expand, what it was before a couple of years ago. And he has been known for what he's contributed to healthcare to the Southeast and to the whole of Nigeria. Aside what his wife was known for, himself, Chike Akunyili, was a phenomenal human being. A philanthropist. He was everything that you would want to see as a mentor and as a role model for a person of that caliber. So it hurts, and I cannot imagine what the kids, the Akunyili children, would be dealing with. Seeing their father in that position, basically trying and trying to survive. What happened. I don't want to imagine what kind of trauma that would cause them. But most importantly, the Akunyilis gave their all to Nigeria. They both have lost, their lives, and it cannot be explained how hurtful this is. Who is responsible? Nobody we know. The DSS has said that they're not responsible, and I think they were responding to allegations by the IPOB saying that it's likely the DSS. There's also people who said that it may not even be the IPOB. It might just be robbers or assassins. There's people who say that it may be the IPOB and that they didn't know who he was before they carried out that action and eventually killed him and his escort and driver, I believe. There's many narratives, but most importantly, what will the Nigerian government do? What will the Anambra State government do? What will the Southeastern governments, in general do with regards to Chike Akunyili's death? I can't, and I think I said this yesterday that I'm slowly starting to become also affected by having to speak about these things every morning because they eventually. It's becoming traumatizing, mentally and emotionally for me to have to deal with Nigeria every day and have to share stories on Nigeria every day. It's really not even a healthy place to be, to talk about these things like we're talking about the price of bread. These are lives, people, families, husbands, daughters, wives. It's just not normal to have these type of conversations every single day for years in any way. It's not healthy and it's not normal at all. But rest in peace to Dr. Chike Akunyili.
Rest in peace to him. We really hope that the police this time actually gets to the bottom of the situation and, just does the investigation to find out exactly who killed Chike Akunyili and why exactly.
To be honest, at this point, I don't care. And the reason I don't care is because of what the Nigerian police has been like in the last few years. forever, actually, not the last few years. Anybody can be brought up, and be said to be the found killers of Dr. Chike Akunyili, and half of the people who see that story will not even believe that they are the ones who are responsible. And also, it doesn't solve the security challenges. Whoever it is that the police arrest doesn't in any way address the security challenges. And so doing that photo op, raiding whatever village in Nkpo, in Anambra State, and arresting a couple of people that maybe would be the ones who actually carried out that attack doesn't solve the challenge. If we still aren't doing anything to ensure that Nigeria is safer, then this is just one waiting for the next one to happen. And so that's why I really don't even care. I mean, yes, you encourage them to do their job and make sure that the family gets justice, but it's not the answer to our problems in any way. Half of the people who are going to see whatever the police is going to do now, more than half actually don't even believe, those things, sadly.
Okay. So our next uptrending story really takes us to the airports across Nigeria, and one name really comes to mind. It's Air Peace. So the top trending story is that the hashtag boycott Air Peace has been trending on social media. And that's because the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, basically arrested 2 Air Peace passengers a few days ago. So what the story is saying is that the flight, an Air Peace flight, was delayed for about 3 hours, and one of the passengers who was concerned went to talk to one of the officials to say, our flight has been delayed for about 3 hours, what's happening? And the man kept quiet, so what he did was push him in the face. That really was assault right there. Very wrong of him to do so. So another lady, her offense, she was arrested. Her offense was basically bringing out her mobile phone and recording passengers complain about the poor services of Air Peace, because we know that Air Peace has this, reputation of delaying flights. People call them out on social media every now and then. So this man, Mr. Paul Samuel, was arrested by FAN officials. Rita Okorafor arrested by FAN officials as well for recording and putting it on social media. They told her that she had no rights to record and she had to stop the recordings, but she continued recording, putting that on social media. They arrested both of them. They closed the boarding gates. They seized their flight tickets, put them in a van, drove them away, gave them forms to fill, and all of that. So that really is what the situation is about. But we have a track really that explains better. Take a listen.
It is not your fault. It is the fault of the situation of the country. If our country is peaceful, nobody will touch you. I've been here since 6 o'clock. If our country is peaceful, if there is no security in our country, nobody will touch you. How dare you? How dare you? Honestly, there will be thank you here. Stop that. I told you stop that. See, stop doing that. That guy is an asshole. And that guy is an asshole. He's an asshole. You cannot be. Whosoever you want to go, call the IG. Call whosoever you want to go. That's what you're doing here. I will give this place. We are your customers. And you are messing up like this. Yes, the people were here. He lost the public address. You cannot keep people here for 3 hours after they finish. Nobody will take it. You can do that with us here. What they do not report is the information they were dealing with completely. The aircraft was there, wasn't there. And civil aviation rules say if you kept people for 2 hours, you serve refreshment. None of that has been done.
let's go need their refreshments.
All right. Well, basically just showing you clips from, where it all started yesterday. But, of course, it started actually at 7 p.m. when the flight was meant to take off. Eventually was delayed till about 11 p.m. And, all that drama ensued. What I, would continue to find shocking is, how Nigerian companies, mostly Air Peace and, basically airlines in Nigeria don't understand that passengers have a right to complain. And when you complain,
customer service.
the important thing with customer service, when you complain, they might bring you small chops and, some soda and, expect you to calm down. One thing that was very important is if you listen to the clip, one of the things that was said there, where a woman was saying it's not your fault. If Nigeria was safer, a lot of people wouldn't even be flying, which is very, very true. I remember there was a photo a couple of days ago where some government officials in the north were complaining that their flight was delayed for about 2-3 hours. And people were asking them, you guys have been saying roads are safe in the north and traveling safe. Why don't you go by road? It's not so far, But of course, these are some of the things that you would have to experience because Nigeria is not, currently safe enough for road travel. Customer service in Nigeria, who really defends the customers? Who stands, for the customers? What is the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria meant to be doing in a situation like this? They shouldn't only be relevant, or they basically manage the airports. But, there has to be a body that stands for customers. It cannot just be social media. There has to be somebody, and unfortunately, I'm not very sure now, who really should take the rights of customers more importantly at a time like this. Eventually this might end up, as a lawsuit, maybe not. And nobody even trusts that the court will be able to, rule in their favor. So Air Peace needs to do better. They've been known for, delayed flights somehow, some way. Their chairman, has, of course, over time also been indicted for money laundering, or has that money laundering, charge a few months ago, a few years ago in the United States. And so it's not just good PR for them. He has also tried to do whatever it is possible to change the narrative concerning Air Peace. Where, if you remember the speech that he gave to the Super Eagles not long ago, which everyone applauded. And also, when he also rescued Nigerians from South Africa, which are really, really good things. But his staff eventually now go and throw some of all those good things in the mud with their attitude and with the failure of the airline to just, do what is right when customers are upset.
Okay, so really, I believe that, like you said, customer service should be prioritized because it is the customers who pay for the sustenance of those businesses. It is the customers that keep them afloat. So I believe that businesses should do better with regards to customer service, prioritize customers' welfare. When they complain, take that very seriously because your customers really can be your undoing. When a customer goes ahead to make complaints like this, you see #boycott Air Peace is trending all over social media. And there's some people who say, I stopped flying Air Peace 2003, 2005, after they delayed me for this and that. So let businesses do better. And like you mentioned, we need to find out what are the customer protection agencies and laws that, we should have recourse to. And are the mechanisms for reporting this, even there? Do customers get compensation when they complain? I'm sure that some of these things exist, but the point is how many people know? Because it all starts with awareness. How many people are aware of whatever channel is available for you to complain when, you do not get the service you pay for? And when you eventually complain, having known what agency you need to complain to, how much of a compensation do you get? But
I think there was just to quickly mention, I think there was a time, not very long ago, where the National Assembly had debated laws, to punish airlines for delayed flights. I remember that we talked about that.
It was stated that when you delay a flight for about at least an hour, you should serve refreshments. When it's more than 3 hours, it was recent that you should go ahead and refund their flight tickets. But this is Nigeria. That's why I said it's beyond knowing what agencies to report to. When you eventually report, do you get the compensation you deserve? That really was the sum of what I was saying. So I'm going to go back to our first top trending story. That's because I've found breaking news about Chike Akunyili, who was killed yesterday. I think that was in Anambra on Tuesday. So the DSS put out a statement. They said that they heard news that the DSS has been fingered for being involved in the death of Chike Akunyili. So Peter Funaya, the PRO of the DSS, says that the DSS cherishes life, believes in the rule of law, and that they have no reason to kill the medical doctor or fellow law enforcement agencies. They said this really is that a desperate effort to divert attention, deploy reverse psychology to deceive unsuspecting members of the public, and that they never really had anything to do with the death of Chike Akunyili. So the DSS is saying we are not involved. Now, while it seems the DSS has spoken out, the IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, have spoken out as well. The spokesman, Peter Afunaya, put out a statement saying that they do not know Chike Akunyili, rather. And that, yes, Emmanuel Powerful said he does not know Chike Akunyili. He has nothing to do with him. He went on to say that the people who killed Chike Akunyili, this is what Emmanuel Powerful, IPOB spokesman, is saying, that the people who killed Chike Akunyili are people who are contesting the Anambra elections, the Anambra governorship elections. They also said that they are the same people who poisoned the late Dora. I mean, let me read out a statement for you. He said, those who killed Dora Akunyili's husband killed his wife with poison. Oh my God. So he went on and on to continue to say things about that. He also said that they are Fulani. I don't know why he had to throw that in, but he said because she exposed Yar'Adua's death for Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to take over as president of Nigeria, that they know themselves, they conspired to kill her, and now they have killed her husband over the contest of the governorship election in Anambra State. They have no issues with Chike Akunyili. We do not know him. Those behind the act must stop using the IPOB name, and that this is pure political assassination. This is what they're really saying.
Well, I think
IPOB, DSS denying involvement.
I already mentioned, all of this. The DSS response was really to the IPOB's accusations, and of course those who had said that it might be politically motivated and some of all of that. Moral of the story is that the Southeast is currently very, very unsafe, and more work needs to be done for people in the Southeast. It's not the first time there's been assassinations in Enugu State. Multiple times, and this is maybe just the highest, profile person that has, has been killed. But anyway, rest in peace once again.
Yes, our final top trending story is about paternity leave. Yesterday, at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, head of the Civil Service, Mrs. Esson, announced that a few weeks have been granted, 2 weeks actually, have been granted to fathers as paternity leave. So before now, we only had the maternity leave where women had 12 weeks. You had a few weeks before you deliver, before your due date, and a few weeks after you deliver. But that was reviewed, I think, in 2018, and they said, we're going to increase that from 3 months to 4 months. And women had a few months before their due date and a few months after. Then when you give birth, of course, and you come back to the office, you're allowed to close early, just so that the burden of, combining work at the home front and at the office, doesn't take its toll on you. But now they're saying that, fathers also deserve that time to bond with their children. And if you give birth, or if that's how they say it, we're pregnant, we're giving birth, we have a child, the man tries to get that ownership, I understand. So if you give birth, if you have a baby, and you work in the civil service, you can definitely apply for a 2-week paternity leave, so you can be at home and spend time with your family. I think this is good. I'm looking forward to the next few years that, going up to maybe even a month. I don't know if that's going to be possible. But it's a good thing, because we know that in other parts of the country, paternity leave, it's even more. Men get more time off work. They even get about 60% or so of their salary still paid. There's job security there. But good to know that Nigeria is trying to catch up.
Yeah, so Rita, I think Norway has about 10 weeks for paternity leave. Slovenia, fathers in Slovenia are given about 12 weeks paternity leave. Lithuania and Hungary have parents taking up to 150 weeks of work.
Those countries mostly are high in the index when you're talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And that is, of course, like you mentioned, is because parents need time to bond with their children. We've had this omugwo tradition for a long time, which brings, I'm not sure who's mother now. Is it the mother of the woman or the mother of the man?
Maybe
I think it's the mother of the woman to come take care of the child. But I think that's not. It's important, that we also understand, the role that the father should also play in that time, and he does need time off work to be with his wife and to be with the child, not just the child, but to be with the wife also, to play his role as a father,
give that support,
and that absolutely, to be in the house, while she is, of course, healing from childbirth. There's many postpartum issues that aren't discussed a lot here in Nigeria. that I feel like parents need to work through together. It cannot be when he gets back from work at 5 p.m. or at 6 p.m. He has to be there 24 hours with the wife, to deal with those postpartum issues, hair loss, pains,
even depression.
And depression, yeah, all of that. Those are things that, both parents need to work hand in hand, with. And of course, it's a little stressful also for the men. Having to go through that period. I actually tried to have a conversation about a month ago and, speak with husbands and see what they also deal with postpartum. What are the things that they have to also deal with? A lot of them, responded with, I choose not to speak, because it will get me in trouble. That's. Right. So I think it's personal to their marriages, and so they would rather not put those things out there. But it's the point is really just to express that there are those issues that fathers also need to have to deal with. It may not be as major as what the woman goes through.
We need to know. We need to know actually. Yeah.
It may not be as major as what the woman goes through. Yes, but for the child, for the woman, and for the family unit itself, yes, they deserve some leave. And I don't even think 2 weeks is enough. I think it really should be as much as a month.
But it's a good start. They never had this prior to this
Absolutely.
Time. So those are our top trending stories for you this morning. We shared you just information about the death of Chike Akunyili and controversy surrounding who killed him, Air Peace delaying flights up to 3 hours, and then arresting 2 passengers, as well as the fact that the federal government has now approved the 2-week paternity leave for fathers. Stay with us on The Breakfast. We'll be back to take a look at the stories in the headlines.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
Welcome once again to The Breakfast on PlusTvAfrica. Now let's move to Off the Press and look at the stories making headlines across Nigeria today. I'm starting with the Punch newspapers, and we'll be introducing our guest right after this. It's going to be on the screen in just a few seconds. Yes, it says federal government revokes 5,793 mining licenses in 6 years. Operators blame insecurity. Revoked licenses not used. Operators failed to start mining, says ministry official. And also miners shunning mining sites because of kidnappers and insurgents, says association. Fear spreads in Southeast as hoodlums murder Akunyili's husband and 8 others. Nigerians without NIN won't get passports or driving license, says the NCC. And also declare bandits terrorists, launch total war against them, Senate tells Buhari. We can also find here, I'm surprised some people oppose electronic voting, says former President Goodluck Jonathan. And this says also Southern governors should have consulted Northern counterparts on 2023. That's from the governor of Kaduna State, El Rufai. Federal government approves 14-day paternity leave, adopted children's fathers covered. And also Buhari orders ex-FIIRO DG's trial for collecting 18-year salaries with phantom certificate. Another bombing error kills 20 residents in Borno. And also this morning, again, bandits hit Niger, kill 30. Kaduna shuts phone services. Those are the ones on the Punch newspapers this morning.
On the Daily Trust, Senate to Buhari declare bandits as terrorists. Bomb all their locations. On the Daily Trust, ex-DG says that decision to declare bandits as terrorists is long overdue. Policemen missing as bandits abduct 27 in Sokoto community. EU, UK, FBI, others support EFCC strategic plan. Jonathan asked National Assembly to adopt e-transmission of results. Recruitment into security agencies politicized. That's according to Zulum. Outrage over killing of Akunyili's widower, 7 others in Anambra. El Rufai to Southern governors, you can't get presidency by force. Those are the stories we're looking at this morning on the Daily Trust.
Right, from the Daily Trust, let's look at the Daily Independent. Senate to Buhari, declare bandits terrorists, wage total war. Also, bandits attack Niger community, kill 30. FEC okays 14-day paternity leave for civil servants. Insecurity, Kaduna shuts down telecom services, bans motorcycles. And also reps saying Nigeria in worst economic situation since 1983. Lekki Tollgate, military never fired live bullets at NSAS protesters, says a forensic expert. Southeast under siege, Johanese cries out, says killings in Anambra, Imo, and Enugu call for retrospection. Outrage as gunmen kill Chike Akunyili and 9 others. Court bars EFCC from retrying Oji Uzo Kalu. Those are the stories on the Daily Independent.
Lastly, on the leadership newspaper, hours after senators' damning verdict, bandits kill 30 in Niger. Lawmakers want them branded terrorists, say military should bomb them wherever they are. Anxiety grips Kaduna residents as government shuts down telecoms networks today. Agulu community mourns as gunmen killed Dr. Akunyili. Labour says governors should focus on security, not next election. Court bars EFCC from retrying Orji Uzo Kalu. Independence Day, federal government declares Friday public holiday. Also, let's look at this other one on the leadership newspaper. Workers to enjoy 14-day paternity leave. 2023, El Rufai is saying that the northern governors didn't oppose power shifts. Allow e-transmission of election results. Jonathan tells National Assembly. Lawan says diaspora voting is our wish. Also, PIA, NNPC completes CAC on corporation. Now limited liability company. PMB replaces NPR board nominee. I think we're looking at those 4 papers this morning, and we can say hello to our guest, public affairs analyst, Mr. Ezekiel Nyaitok. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to be in your lovely station.
On the Daily Independent newspaper, on the Daily Trust as well, we see the story here where the Senate is asking the president to declare bandits as terrorists and wage total war. I don't know why this has been a subject of debate for a long time now. Looking at the terminology and the difference between hoodlums, bandits, and terrorists. Do you think they're one and the same? And do you think the nomenclature should change from bandits to terrorists?
I've said this before on this program, and sometimes you have very hard choices to make in leadership. And one of such choices is if you have an accident and your hand is bleeding, you have a choice either to keep managing the bleeding till you can get it fixed. Another is that the risk of managing that bleeding is that you can bleed to death, but it might be easier for you if you chopped off that hand so that the rest of the body can live. It's an extremely difficult choice to make, but it's something you have to weigh all the options that are before you. To that extent, there is what you call rules of engagement. When you are dealing with bandits, there are certain things you do not do. If not so, you go into the realm of human rights abuse.
Messiah, can you hear us?
Okay, let's see if we can try to reconnect with Mr. Ezekiel Nyaitok there, shedding light on the issue of the Senate saying, you know, declare bandits as terrorists, bomb all their locations, decision long overdue. Osarige, if you recall, we had a security expert, Mr. Yahuza Getto, a few weeks ago, basically explaining the difference between the ISWAP, the Boko Haram terrorists, and the bandits. He really tried to make it clear for us to see that when you're talking about ISWAP and Boko Haram, these people seem to be like in the highest class of society regarding education, qualification, and their international network. But when you're looking at bandits, they seem to have little to no education, cannot read and write, do not even understand the fundamental tenets of Islam, and simply are motivated for money. But that there is a fact that the Boko Haram and ISWAP seem to be integrating these bandits into their fold, seeing that they need men to do the groundwork for them. But really still now about, do we qualify them as Boko Haram terrorists or not?
I think, you know, Mr. Ezekiel is back, but I would just, you know, say that I personally don't think it matters if they can speak English or they are learned or if they are professors. What's important is the Nigerian government's stance on the security of lives and property of the Nigerian and the value of life of Nigerians. Doesn't matter who they are or how well trained they are or how smart they are. It shouldn't reduce the, you know, the jail time and severity
of whatever
of
punishment they get for certain crimes.
Yeah,
yes.
but we're going to be having Yahuza Getto this morning, luckily, so we might get back into that. Mr. Nyaitok, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. I don't know where you got me lost, but I was trying to say that with bandits, you have what you call rules of engagement. There are certain things you can't engage them by if they are bandits. But when they are terrorists, there is an international...
That's quite unusual. Losing Mr. Nyaitok there. But really, Osarige...
if you can still hear me.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, so with bandits, you can't engage them in a certain way, but terrorists, you can engage them. You can actually get in and really, really bomb them out. That's very important. Like I gave the analogy before now, if you have your hand cut in a certain way and really bleeding, you can choose to, you know, manage the hand and hope they can do it well, but they will tell you that you are better off cutting that hand so they can stop the bleeding immediately. That's the same thing, the choice that we have to make, a very hard decision concerning these bandits that should be called terrorists. When they are called terrorists, you may need to flush out, you know, wherever they are. They're going to be collateral damages, but you are allowed within certain rules of engagement to engage terrorists that way. So I think it's more than long overdue that these people should be designated terrorists so that they can be engaged properly and our army are careful to walk, you know, the lines. So when you give them that designation, they now have the full right authority to engage them as a war, because we're actually in a war. So that's to me, I think it's a very good call.
One question I want to ask really is, does the name matter?
Yes, it does.
No,
it does.
I'm asking because we call someone a Boko Haram terrorist. They kill people, they rape women, they kidnap children. You call someone a bandit and they do and commit all three crimes. So should it matter what their name is? Should we not just put out the full weight of the law for all their crimes?
No, it matters. You can't put out the full weight of the law on a bandit who is just like a criminal. An armed robber is a criminal. You can't say because armed robbers are raiding a certain place, you go and bomb the place.
No, we're not talking about bombing now. Mr. Yetok, what I'm trying to say is this.
I'm talking of the rules of engagement.
Mr. Yetok, I'm coming. What I'm saying
is... Wait. The designation allows certain rules of engagement. That's what the point I'm trying to make. If you call them bandits, you can't engage them in a certain way. But if they are designated terrorists, you can engage them, as in a war situation. So that designation is extremely important because it allows our army to decide how to engage them.
Okay, so away from engagement, right? If an armed robber commits crimes such as killing a man, raping a woman, and a bandit does the same, and a Boko Haram does the same, and they're all arrested, are you saying the punishment for these crimes should be different? Because, oh, no, you're an armed robber, you're a kidnapper, you're this. Should the punishment for these crimes be different because of their different brands?
No. The point is how the engagement is the most important aspect.
Not prosecution for the crimes.
Yes, not the prosecution. Right now is how you engage them. Our military are careful to walk the lines of international conventions. There are certain things they cannot do, okay? But in a war situation, you are allowed to engage them differently. And right now, what we need is not how to treat them when they are caught. It's how to engage them, to exterminate them. It's now no longer managing them. It's going to be a war situation, and that can only be done against terrorists and not criminals, so to speak.
That difference is made. Thank you.
All right. I'm guessing, well, I think I understand, get the point it's trying to make. You're also not going to send the military against bandits. You would expect that there is state security, the police, the NSCDC, and the likes who should be able to handle banditry. But I think the challenge we've also had, I think the challenge we've also had is really also being able to properly identify the persons responsible for these crimes against the Nigerian state. At some point, I also felt like people really just called them bandits to reduce the severity of their crimes. Reduce the attention that their crimes were getting, whereas they were committing the same things that the Boko Haram were committing. But let's move away from there and also talk about things that are also affecting. It says the federal government revokes 5,793 mining licenses in 6 years. The operators are blaming insecurity as the reason they are not being able to utilize these licenses. I'm sure we've spoken over time about how much we can also generate from mining Nigeria's mineral resources, which doesn't seem to be, generating much. So, Ms. Ayato, quickly share your thoughts on the revoking of these licenses.
The Punch newspaper.
Ms. Ayato, can you hear us clearly?
Yes.
All right.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Go ahead if you heard my question.
That headline is very instructive. You mean we have as much as 5,700, almost 6,000 licenses for mining, and yet this is not captured in our national budget, and yet that is supposed to be what is exclusive to the federal government. We run a country where people really take things for granted. The other day we saw a state government coming to sell gold to central bank.
Well, I'm having a slight struggle with the feed from Ezekiel Yantok this morning.
More inspection. Yeah, that's from Port Harcourt. If I'm in Akwa Ibom has stable internet. That's why I don't know why I'm in Port Harcourt.
Well, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So the point is, if the federal government has this number of licenses that are unoperational, they are not even telling us the ones that are operational. The question is, please, which part of the budget have we been able to capture these resources like the oil that we deal with? I need to know all.
Okay.
This if 5,000, almost 6,000.
Ms. Ayatok, I have to reconnect with you maybe via phone. It's been a struggle getting a clear feedback from you to get your thoughts really about those mining licenses. I want us to get back to the security conversation, and we're seeing this on the Daily Trust newspaper. Still something we've repeatedly talked about, as much as whether bandits should be branded as terrorists. And it's about the politicization of recruitment, of nationals into security agencies. This is a statement by Governor Zulum. He says that it's been highly politicized, the way people get into security agencies in Nigeria, and that really this has been left in the hands of job seekers, people who are simply unemployed. We've talked about this many, many times. And Mr. Yecho, we'll have you back. Let's have you finish up on your thoughts regarding the mining licenses. Hopefully, we don't lose you this time.
Yeah, what I was saying is that if we have almost 6,000 licenses non-operational that they want to revoke, how many are operational? And please, which section of the budget captures that natural resource as that of the oil? Because it seems like this, even the banditry we are looking at in the north, it seems to be a ploy, because while this is going on, some people have learned how to operate within the system. So a lot of business is going on in that place. People talk about seeing some white men, they are still there. It seems that they've learned how to operate. But my main concern is, how is it that these are natural resources like oil that we fight over? The other day we saw a governor coming to sell gold to central bank. Why is this not captured in our national budget? Do we now have two parameters of dealing with our natural resources? It's a question we must interrogate.
And still about, the question I was going to, there's a story on the Daily Trust that says Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum is alleging that the recruitment into security agencies have been politicized, and that it simply gets into the hands of job seekers and the unemployed, and that those enlisted 20 years ago into security agencies are performing well because they entered for the right reasons. They have passion for the country, passion to serve. They received the right training. There was commitment and dedication. And that what you see today in 2021 is a far cry from, what we had before. Do you agree that this is true? Because he really went on to talk about slots and how people just plug in their own people.
Extremely so. He couldn't be more correct. That's the honest truth and the fact of the matter. Every profession has certain things. When I was in secondary school, I happened to have attended a school where you have guardian counseling officers who would come and tell you about the different professions. So you got into nursing because you had that human sympathy. Imagine somebody who cannot stand the sight of blood being a doctor. Now there are some people, if you listen abroad, little children say, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be this. I want to be a broadcaster. They've been watching you. Some ladies, young girls have been watching. They have that passion they build over time. So when they get into the profession, they get into the profession with that passion, So it's not about money. It's not about fame. Some things are just about, that what my friend calls psychic satisfaction. That drives them, and that drive brings about excellence. It brings about extra commitment. It brings about the sort of result in the sector. Some people want to be in the army because they understand what it is. But today, why do people want to be in the custom? Why do they want to be in the police also who can stand on the road and collect money? They look at professions have become, monetized, and not the essence. The essence has become distorted, has been warped, has become blurred, has become almost irrelevant. As a result, we're starting to have people in professions who were not there for the essence of the profession. Now, in terms of security, you must have passion and patriotism, love for country, love for state. You want to make sure that peace is maintained. You want to be an upright person yourself. People need to profile what your life has been like. But today, as soon as one of my friends got a very big appointment, and when I was telling him about somebody who could help me, he said, my guy, when you come in there, there's a slot they give you. His slot that he had already given the letters, and people have not been able to start to work. And so it's actually slot business. It's actually slot business. One of my friends, again, in another very big company, says that, my guy, they have not stopped employing, but every day new people are coming in. Every day new people are coming in. And yet there's not supposed to be. So Nigerian employment, the government, is about who you know. It's not about merit. It has absolutely nothing to do with merit. And with that, how can we have a system that works? Imagine me wanting to employ architects in my firm, and then you send me names. No, I'm not going to take. I'm going to interview you and find out what you know, which areas that you work with, you know, and I'm not going to have an architect work as an electrical engineer or an electrical engineer work as a quantity surveyor. It's not going to work. You're going to have to be in the right place with the right competencies and capacities. That's why I have a company that runs, because the right people are doing the right jobs. But in government today, all you need is no senator, no this, no that, and it's wrong. We need to stop that.
All right. Let's move over, well, sadly, back to security discussions and go to the Southeast, where Oneze says that the Southeast is under siege. And of course, I would like you to speak on the death of Dr. Chike Akunyili, which of course broke yesterday.
Yes, first my heart goes out to the man. Many people have died, but I can tell you that the man had a wife that was loved by Nigeria, and loved on account of her passion for this country, on account of which she took great risks. And these people have not forgiven her till today for the things she did. And I do not know if Nigeria as a nation has really, been able to honor her enough to inspire others to know that when you lay down your life for this country will remember you. I hope she does not become a metaphor for a country that does not appreciate. And people say, oh boy, relax. So remember our Queen, now so she died, now so she just go. You understand? So if to make a statement that yes, you have been killed as they've killed so many people, but you are not just one person they killed. You are the husband of a woman that this country holds dear. And for her sake, we want to leave no stone unturned to make sure that we get to the root of the matter. Just to inspire Nigerians to know that animation that, look, you give your life for this country will go all out in your defense. So for me, within that context, I mourn his loss. But I think that it's a great opportunity for Nigerians to to use a sledgehammer to kill a fly, to say that woman, never again, no more.
So what do you have to say really about the fact that it seems that, we're getting statement that the Southeast is under siege, and that the IPOB have said that his death was orchestrated by people who poisoned his wife, and it has to do with the Anambra state elections?
You see, all those things, for me, they are in the realms of conjecture. Whatever is the reason, let the police get in, get the work done. Let them do it with a certain intent of animating the fact that this woman gave her life for this country. And on account of her, several lives were saved, because fake drugs, I don't know if we forget so soon. They say the memory of man is treacherous. Fake drugs was killing this country, ravaging this country. Almost worse than Boko Haram and the rest, because you have, antibiotics, you want to take, not knowing that you are taking powder. And imagine you get worse. So it was terrible. It was like you buying death with your own money. But she fought it with her life, and she literally fought it with her life. So for me, she is one woman that this country should use a sledgehammer to kill a fly, just to make a statement that she did not die in vain. And I hope we'll have something to say about this electronic transmission of results before we leave.
Yes, exactly where we're going. To be honest, former President Jonathan is telling the National Assembly, we see that on the leadership newspaper, that they should allow e-transmission of results. And I think also on another paper, the way it puts is that he's asking them to adopt it, and that he would not understand the opposition to e-transmission of results. Do you think Jonathan might have any leverage, to influence the National Assembly, to make them agree for the e-transmission of results, electronic voting, and all of that?
Former President Jonathan is the most authentic voice to make that statement, because he was one Nigerian that was willing to take the risk, and he paid, like my sister Dora Akinlida just said. He paid dearly for it, and he has no regrets whatsoever, because he believes that the greater good of this country is higher than his personal gain. And that is a statement that is very rare. So for him to lend his voice, he is, in my mind, the most authentic voice to be made. The second, which should really be the first, was the beneficiary of that, electoral process that is clean, and that's Mr. President. While he was a sacrificial lamb, Mr. President was a beneficiary. And he's not going for a third term. I expect that Mr. President, just like he got out to be he would realize that being a Minister of Petroleum is nothing close to being the champion of credible elections, because the country runs based on people they choose, and if you choose the right people, you have a right country. So electronic transmission of results should be what Mr. President champions and animates. And I'm happy that leaders of conscience, like I've said that, and from what I've seen, PlusTvAfrica is one of the people that tomorrow, being the 1st of October, there is a national converge on electronic transmission of results. And the list I've seen is almost unbelievable. And I think it's going to run on several stations. I believe that Plus TV will be there directly or indirectly. So a time has come. I think former President Jonathan has shot the first salvo, but by tomorrow, the list is almost, if you check the social media, I'm sure it's going to go viral everywhere. They've decided to come and say, this is not about INEC saying we want. This is about Nigeria saying we want. Nigerians across party lines, across ethnic lines, everybody is coming to make a national statement tomorrow on national televisions and media that we want electronic transmission of results, and that the National Assembly should not see this as a call from a certain quarter, but a call from Nigeria. And I think the worst thing they can do is to ignore if Nigerians form a consensus on an issue.
All right, and well, once again, back to talking security challenges. And of course, seeming like knee-jerk reactions to the insecurity challenges. In Kaduna State, it's reported that the government has shut down telecom services and banned motorcycles. It's also reported in Niger State that 30 lives were lost yesterday to, of course, once again, banditry in the community. So quickly share your thoughts on these numbers, dozens and dozens and dozens of Nigerians who would not get to see October 1st. And of course, the moves by the Kaduna State government to, of course, address these issues.
Governor El Rufai is somebody I have a lot of respect for because he is cerebral. But just like every human being, we have a blind spot. What goes on in southern Kaduna, I do not know why he cannot move his seat of power to southern Kaduna and say this must not happen. And there's all this animation where you say, okay, because it does not happen to your people, southern Kaduna is predominantly Christians and things like that, and he is this and that. I think that leadership means ownership of your constituency. Whatever is your constituency, you forget your tribe, you forget your gender, you forget your party, you become the leader of all the people. So if they are finally taking decisions, hard decisions, because shutting down telecoms is a hard decision. It affects everybody. If there's a price that they have to pay for them to allow people to live in southern Kaduna and probably the rest of Kaduna generally, I think it's a welcome idea. And like I said, please, we must be willing to make sacrifices, and there's going to be collateral damages. But it is better for us to chop off an arm so that we can live than allow that arm to continue to bleed until we die. We have a case that is between the rock and the hard place, and whichever decision that we take is got to have some consequences. Some of them are going to be very, very unpalatable. We will have to lose some innocent people, but these people need to be smoked out, need to be fished out. They need to be exterminated. They need to be exterminated.
Okay, we've been talking about this situation where it seems that there's a misfiring, a technical glitch, failure or in coordinates, whatever it is. But what we see and what we've seen over time, since as far back as 2017 that I remember, is a Nigerian fighter jet opening fire on civilian population and then killing them. We've seen the one that happened in Iran in 2017. We saw the one that happened a few weeks ago in Yobe State. We saw the one that happened we saw the news yesterday, but it was something that happened on Sunday. And we're seeing another one here on the Punch newspaper that says another bombing error kills 20 residents in Borno State. Is there seeming to be a pattern here? Because the army released a statement saying, oh, that was a mistake, we're going to look into it. And then just a few days again, we see another story of a bombing error killing residents in the north.
It's something that I've had sleepless nights over. Technology is very straightforward and it must be handled by the competent. And there are certain technologies that I don't get into because I have not got the competency. If you want to be on a Zoom, there are protocols outside of which you will not get it right. You will not get connectivity. As the world goes really digital and technology advanced, do we have the manpower adequately trained for those protocols? You can't keep telling me about technical error. Once in a while, I can understand, but it's been not just one, but so many, too many. And I think that the Nigerian army, and when they say, oh, we're looking into it, they are giving us this animation that we're looking into it is just a general answer as well. Let's move on. It has happened. It has happened. And
it's 8 o'clock.
It shouldn't be so. So I think that the Nigerian army should really, really look at the technologies we are deploying, look at the competencies to that technology, and if they need to hire competencies until they adequately train our people into it. It's just flying an aircraft and plotting the coordinates. You don't need 10 people, you don't need 20 people. You just need an expert, a team. If we need to hire that team in for now, except for a case of sabotage, if there is no sabotage, because you can rule that out, then let us hire the competencies until our people are trained enough. While we are hiring, let's take our own people and give a timeline, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, so that by the time they come in, they can use like this Tucano jets that they are having. Do we really, while we were waiting for them to come, were we sending people for the training? Are the people that we send for training the ones that are back here? Or are we managing? Don't worry, I'll manage. Some things you don't manage. Some things are so sensitive that they can take a life. And one life is bad enough for there to be major mayhem in a country. America sent the whole of American troops to Nigeria to rescue one life. So we need to be careful and know that human lives matter in this country.
Well, now that you brought in America, I'm going to continue from there. I spoke about this yesterday. We're in Afghanistan. The U.S. Air Force, an unmanned aircraft, for the U.S. Air Force had, of course, in error, killed, an Afghanistan man with 3 of his kids. They had mistaken his routes that day, for someone who was doing work for ISIS, but of course, when there was investigation, it really was him fetching water from his office and taking it back home. And, there was some communication that was also misunderstood. There was a full-scale investigation after the Washington Post, carried out their on-ground work. The United States president and, of course, spokesperson, White House spokesperson, spoke, concerning this. They admitted to error. There's talk about compensation. I don't know if they will go ahead and compensate the families of the Afghanistan, person who was killed, citizen who was killed. Not long ago, also, there was video clips of Haitian immigrants who were trying to cross the border into the United States. The video clips showed U.S. border agents on horses, using whips or reins for the horses, and it just was a very, very bad look for those border agents. United States President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spoke concerning it. They were questioned. They spoke about it. They also addressed the public. The White House spokesperson also, mentioned that there would be investigation, and whoever is meant to be punished will be punished to ensure that that never repeats itself. And that's not the way that you treat people who are seeking a better life in the United States. In Nigeria, 150 people were killed, reportedly, in Ran in 2017. In Borno State, in Yobe, and I think back again in Borno State, we've heard of, close to 70 or 80 people now who have lost their lives in 3 different misfires by the Nigerian Air Force. There's not a word from President Muhammadu Buhari or the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. Ezekiel Yaitok, I'm sure you know where my question is.
Very well, very well. You see, we really honestly don't know what governance is in this country, if I'm to really put it where it is. We have mistaken politics for governance. Politics is the root, is like the engineer that fixes the aircraft and makes it available. Once the aircraft is ready, the pilot comes to pilot that aircraft, okay? Now, our president, unfortunately, does not seem to understand that he is given a role to play in the larger interest of the people, and not that he is rewarded. A political office is not a reward, it's a call to service. And I hope I'm wrong, that the president sees himself as a man that Nigerians should be grateful to. A man that Nigerians is like an emperor, is like an owner of the estate, that like the owner of the company, and not the CEO that has a board that he reports to, and that if that board is not doing well, he can be fired. Unfortunately, the first board is the National Assembly, and the National Assembly have said, we are his boys. He is our boss. Whatever he says, that we will have. And that does not help, Mr. President, because I said it before and I say it again. My mother used to say that, what that simply means that the child that has nothing to fear never amounts to anything in life. You've got to say, what will Nigerians think? What will the National Assembly do? You've got to have that guardian fear, if I use that word, advisedly. And if you don't have it, then you are not just reckless, you do anything anyhow. Why would so many people be killed so many times? And Mr. President will not address the nation, will not show himself as a father of the nation, will not feel the pains of the people, will not go out of his way to ensure that this can't happen again. This is one too many, and I will do whatever it takes. I use that expression probably the last time today. I'll use a sledgehammer to kill a fly to let people know that this can't happen. There was a story in the Bible where a king was going to meet his brother somewhere. And then his lieutenants told him that, sir, we have to rush, we have to hurry. And he told them, no, you guys can go. In my camp, I have children and pregnant women. If I overdrive them, I might lose some. Now, that's the heart of a leader. What he's going to achieve is not as important as making sure that his people are covered, are comfortable, are fine. Are Nigerians fine? Are Nigerians okay? The greatest chapter in our constitution that I can never quote enough, chapter 2, section 14, subsection 2b says, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Is my security, my welfare as a nobody, the primary concern of Mr. President or our governors? I think that Nigerians should wake up to this issue of leadership recruitment and understand what government is. Government is not their estate, it's not their enterprise, it's not their property. It is our employee. My governor has a private jet. He lives in a 50 billion naira mansion. He has a retinue of 8. We want him so comfortable that he works for us. We're not rewarding him for winning election. No, we are making him very comfortable so he can sit and work for us. There's going to be a reward for that level. Look at our president. He falls ill. We let him go abroad to get treatment. We don't care what it costs us. We don't care that we don't even have the health care. We're saying just get well, be fine. He has private jets, not one, not two, to the best of my knowledge. We said no problem so that your movements are not hindered. We allow him these things. so that he can save us. That's what it is. It's not a reward. It's not a gift. No, we want him to say, you've got to be well. You've got to be comfortable. You've got to be in the best state that is possible. Whatever it needs to give you, give it to you so that you can serve us effectively and efficiently. But they turn around and our welfare no longer matters. It's not okay.
All right.
We're looking forward to having more discussions really about the state of our nation, where we're coming from and where we're headed. Tomorrow being Friday, a public holiday, and the 1st of October, marking Nigeria's 61st independent anniversary. Thank you very much for your analysis so far, Public Affairs Analyst, Mr. Ezekiel Talk. Have a great day. Okay, so today in history takes us back to September the 30th, 2013. On this day in history, something very terrible happened in Baghdad, and that's in Iraq. And we still do not have definite figures regarding this, because some news sites will tell you 11, some others will tell you 15, some others will tell you 14. But what happened was that there was at least 11 car bombs that went off in Baghdad, Iraq, that killed over 50 people. Some say about 54, and injured about 170 others. And then this happened just a day after there was a suicide bomb in Iraq. So these car bombs went off mostly in the area in Baghdad where Shiite Muslims reside. Altogether, 14 bombs shook Baghdad. The deadliest of them was in a city called Sadra. A white car basically blew up where men had gathered to seek work, killed 7 people there, killed 2 soldiers. Other car bombs began to blow up elsewhere. People say because these car bombs went off in Shiite Muslim areas, that the violence, was orchestrated by Sunni militants who viewed Shiites as heretics. So they killed more than 6,000 people. The bombs hit basically 9 different areas, and 6 of them in Shiite majority, 2 in Sunni majority, and 1 in mixed areas. Security forces were of course deployed to the area. They closed off streets, used sniffer dogs to search for more bombs, and really that was what happened on this day in history. Definitely the Sunni Muslims denied carrying out these attacks, but they were pointed to be involved in carrying out this bloodshed in Baghdad on the 30th of September 2013.
I have this very weird theory of how, and I think I might be very wrong, how a lot of the terror, attacks that have happened across the world in the Middle East and everywhere have mostly, affected Shiite Muslims the most. They've also, happened mostly in Shiite Muslim countries, but that's just a conspiracy theory. And also, yesterday we spoke about 42 kids who were killed in Nigeria. A day later, the 30th of September, both, in 2013. Yesterday was 2013, today also in 2013. A day later, it happened in Iraq. So September is a very, very rough month. A couple of years from now, we're going to be talking about the things that happened on this day in September. Actually, this year, September has been mostly for the Nigerian entertainment industry.
So when this thing happened, where we say, okay, 54 people were killed, 140, 150, 170 people wounded, the United Nations put out stats saying that over 4,700 people have been killed so far in Iraq, Syria, 2013. Such a terrible, terrible figure to hear. Human lives just being lost because of what? Fundamental, whatever ideology it might be. It really doesn't hold much water when you compare that to the value of human life.
Nigeria also has very blistering, shocking figures in just 2021. So I don't even want to look back to 2020, 2019, and the rest. But we have very, very painful figures, both from terror activities and, of course, government, Nigerian Air Force misfiring and making mistakes like that. Stay with us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're getting into our first major conversation for today, Thursday morning on The Breakfast. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
have
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on PlusTvAfrica, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Welcome once again to The Breakfast here on Plus TV Africa. Our first major conversation for today is moving to, of course, Kaduna State to discuss security issues and what seems to be knee-jerk reactions to at least, solve some of these challenges. In the news this morning, we've also reported in Niger State that about 30 lives were also lost in the last 24 hours to bandits. The National Assembly members have encouraged and, of course, urged President Muhammadu Buhari to do all it possibly can to squash these bandits. We're speaking this morning with Yahuza Getso, who's an anti-terrorism and intelligence expert. Good morning, Mr. Getso. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Getso speaking. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I initially had described it as knee-jerk reactions. I don't know if you would agree with that, or your analysis with regards shutting down telecoms networks and banning the use of motorcycles in Kaduna State is, not just a knee-jerk, but a very important decision at this time for the Kaduna State government. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is an opportunity for me and an opportunity for you and our audience, because I'm right now in the field, conducting field-based research. Now in the northwestern states, I was in Katsina, I was in Zamfara, Sokoto. I'm right now that I'm speaking to you, I'm talking from Kaduna. Let me just give a background. Kaduna State have been a kind of environment of conflict, environment of chaos, environment of political crisis, environment of a kind of turmoil, social and banditry, among other things, kidnappings and other things that have been happening over the time and over decades. Right since the years of 1980s, 1990s, and to present. So to go straight to the point, yes, of course.
Dr. Getso, can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, I can say that we are chasing shadow because you need to look at what is.
All right, I'm having, once again, challenges with the feed from Dr. Yahuza Getso, who's, of course, speaking with us live from Kaduna State this morning. The conversation is mostly on insecurity in those regions and the government's decision to shut down telecom services and ban motorcycles. And of course, what this really is, if this is, the best steps that should be taken. Dr. Getso, can you hear us clearly?
Of course, I can hear you. I commend the Kaduna State government, the courage, the confidence, the confidence of Governor Nasser El-Rufai for coming back to the table and bringing in all the related stakeholders to sit down and discuss and opening his ear to listen to the professional, technical and non-technical and community-based approach advices being provided to him. And I really commend him for shutting the network in Kaduna State. It's part of the effort. But that is not the major things. I want our governors to be very, very careful to look at the implication, the economic implication, the social implication, and even the security implication of turning off or the communication, especially the network of the MTN, Airtel, and others. Yes, of course, it has to some extent some level of impact that it can make. But that is not the best way of approaching it. As I had been saying and I have been arguing that all the governors in Northwestern State, including Malam Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai, you all know, you the governors and all the traditional institutions and all the security formations, you know where these terrorists are, you know their locations, you know how to cordon them and manage the situation decisively. And military approach or kinetic approach is not the best way of dealing with this issue. You have to use the two methods of stick and carrot because you need to conduct a root cause analysis which have not yet been conducted to analyze the situation critically using the stakeholders and other professional expertise in order to identify and understand the magnitude of the capacity and ability of these bandits. I think, to my perception, the military and the DSS and other security information operatives are underrating and undermining the capacity of this bandit in the forest. That is one. And secondly, most of the personnel in the field don't really understand and don't really know the belt, the network, the connection between one geographical line and the other geographical line, one political ward and the other political ward, one local government and the other local government, one location and the other location, one hideout and the other hideout, one dangerous place which may be a kind of a space for the criminals to hide and ambush the security agencies or security operatives, the military, the DSS, the police, or whosoever may be going there. So, but the locations are known. So since we know the locations, or if you don't know the location, we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, and we have the ability and capability, and we have the intellect, and as well, we have the therapy. An expert of African forest therapy, and I know there are many therapists among the security experts. Bring all of us on board. Let's sit down and let's guide you through the process for which you can use to deal with this situation. I have been in Kaduna for a number of a couple of days, and I have been to some of the dangerous and forests and locations where all these things are happening. I'm generating information from the locals, even in the neighboring state of Niger State, of Zamfara State, Katsina State. What is happening actually is, as far as I'm concerned, to the best of my understanding, is that the criminals are now shifting and changing the trade at the way at which they conduct their activity. Yes, of course. When a government is supposed to have ability and capability to manage and nurture the information and manage the communication of the criminals. So when you put up the communication, they know how to communicate using other strategy, but you don't have the basis, the primaries that you're supposed to have on ground for you to fight to fight the insurgents, to fight the bandits. Yes, of course, agreed. We have all the military formations, we have all the security establishments and the structures going into the forest. For a number, almost 2-3 months ago, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, had been making proclamations that the military are at the forefront in the forest, fighting the criminals, fighting the insurgents, and yet the insurgents are still attacking the common man. In Zamfara State, the governor has been making proclamations that they are making success, they are succeeding, they are making progress. Where is the progress? When the attacks is being more havoc, more dangerous than what it was before, the shut-off of the network before, and not even considering the implication or the social implication and the economic implication, as well as the future implication. Because as far as I'm concerned, something entirely different will emerge. We have had information in some of the locations I visited in Katsina, like in Faskari, in Bakori local government, in Sabwa local government. Some Fulani leaders that are innocent were being slaughtered and killed. I have one of the NCE graduates who is a voluntary teacher, who is a Fulani. He was teaching in one of the primary schools voluntarily. Government refused to give him a job. He sponsored himself to have acquired an NCE education. He was in class when some guys went and bring him out and slaughtered him just because he's a Fulani. So I think what is happening in some of the locations, we cannot say that all Fulanis are bandits. We cannot say that all Fulanis are criminals. And I think we are now shifting the trend of the situation from banditry to kind of initiating a kind of a tribal crisis that will emerge at a later time after dealing with the banditry, the kidnappings and other things. Then northern governors will also struggle or will leave their predecessors or their successors with the problem of a kind of what they are creating, which is a crisis of conflict between the Hausa and the Fulani, which is going to be more dangerous. Either we deal with it now, as we're supposed to, or otherwise a manifestation of a new criminals a kind of attitude will emerge at a later time, maybe after 20 years, maybe after 10 years, maybe after 100 years, then I'm already in the grave or so.
All right, Mr. Getso, I want us to...
While commending the government on taking the efforts, I have advised the government almost 5 to 6 weeks ago, the Kaduna State government, that you should stop all the fueling stations along Kaduna-Abuja Road, and there's some other belt of Kaduna State. But you didn't listen, but I'm happy that now you are listening. Also, I commend you for banning the use of motorcycle within the state. It's very, very important.
All right, Mr. Getso, can you hold on for a minute, please? Mr. Getso, just hold on for a minute. We see what's happened in Kaduna State. The governor has ordered the shutdown of telecommunications networks and services, and they say that is because insecurity is on the rise, and the states that have, basically locked down telecommunication services, because of that fact, other bandits in those areas are now coming into Kaduna. That's really what they're saying. So they want to also shut down telecommunication services to deal with insecurity. But I want us to predict how successful this shutdown of telecom services in Kaduna might be by looking at how it has been in states like Zamfara that have already shut down theirs since the first week of September. How successful would you say it has been? What impact would you say it has had? Because when we hear from eyewitnesses, residents in Zamfara State, they complain that banks are shut, ATMs are unable to dispense money, YouthCom members are unable to communicate with their families in other states, businesses seem to be failing. And just a few days ago, September 26th, police put out a report that what happened was there was an attack by bandits at a police station in Shinkafi in Zamfara State. So if we're still seeing attacks in Zamfara State where telecommunication services have been banned or suspended, what really can we say for Kaduna, Mr. Getso? What impact would that make?
Yeah, if we are to learn from the lessons of what is happening in Katsina, in Zamfara and Sokoto states, the result of shutting down the network, the communication, as far as I'm concerned, if Kaduna is to learn out of it, Kaduna wouldn't have come with this policy. But the policy is important to some extent, but to the greater extent, it's very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous indeed, because you are giving the criminals more opportunity to attack more other communities that are innocent, because the communities were using the communication to report the incident, to have a distress call to the security formation so that the security can come to their end. Like I was saying, I'm right now in Kaduna, and I have been battling with even inside the Kaduna city, I have been battling. In fact, even now, I'm lucky to have the network stable. Yesterday, I find it very difficult up to 2 a.m. I was trying to work on something, but to have access to internet, to connect to my computer and generate some information and share with inside and outside the Kaduna, I find it very, very difficult. So I never support, and I will never support that shutting off the network will be a result driver towards achieving what is expected. We are chasing shadow. We are leaving the primary and moving into the secondary. The primary is, where the criminals are, you can cordon them. And when you are hearing the National Communication Commission and other network sources should have been the kind of a meter that can be used in generating and mobilizing generating the information and hearing the communication of what the bandits and other people are discussing, so that you know where they are, you can trace their location, and like the Minister of Communication justifies that one of the reasons why they are linking the NIN with a SIM registration, which started a couple of months ago, and we are yet to see any impact out of it. So as far as I'm concerned, shutting the network is a secondary, it's not a primary. Yes, banning the motorcycles is a primary, not a secondary. But the best thing to do is I am not really in support of shutting down the network because of its economic implication, security implication, social implication, and other things. There are other measures that's supposed to be a step before you go into shutting down the communication, not because Zamfara does it, not because Katsina State does it, not because Sokoto State does it. Go to Sabambini, listen to the people of Sabambini. Even the attacks, not only in Shinkafi police station, there was attack in many other communities, in many other parts of Zamfara. There are many unreported cases. There are many, the incidences have been underreported. I have been to many local governments in Zamfara, and I have found out from the communities. I have been to many local governments in Katsina State, and I have been to some local governments in Niger State, and they are looking at what is happening. If at all, it have an impact. We have seen so many audio clips and video clips going around that Turji has been killed, Halilu has been killed, Dankalemi has been killed, who this and that has been killed, but they are all alive. They are still alive. So, and everybody, all the security formations and all the leaders, the traditional institutions, the locals, and the operatives at the local levels, they know the locations of where these criminals are in Kaduna State. So why can't we use the approach of land and air strike so that we can cordon where they are and attack them and destroy whatever arms they have and weaken their capability, because they cannot be above this. Non-state actor cannot be above the state. Right. I wonder if really Nigeria is a sovereign state, or if really we have a patriotic leaders who really have a passion and compassion are ready to address this issue, or else there is interest somewhere.
Yeah,
and this interest must
I think that's the direction that I'm heading towards now. Yeah, I think that's the direction that I'm heading towards now. You mentioned airstrikes. I don't even think I want us to discuss airstrikes because of how the Nigerian Air Force has, been, misfiring lately. But I want us to talk about, what you've just stated, and that is the political will and the interest of government, and to actually take these things serious. The National Assembly was in the news this morning. The Senate telling President Muhammadu Buhari to declare war on bandits. And of course, we also reported that 30 lives were lost in Niger State yesterday. Yes, these things, are shocking, are really, really shocking and hurtful. Seeing the numbers, seeing that these are innocent Nigerian lives that are just completely wiped off, like that. The current administration, I want you to share your thoughts on what you think might really be going on that has led to these things, the failure of the government to stop these things from continuing. Is it lack of interest? Is it lack of infrastructure and equipment? Is it lack of training for our military? Or is it just, I really don't know how to explain it. So I want you to share your thoughts. These 30 lives that have been lost in Niger State, what would be the explanation for that?
Well, first of all, I condemn the Senate and the National Assembly on their very, very late hours call on the president to declare bandits as a terrorist. This is what would have been made 6 years back ago. They are all from those communities, because how many members are from northern Nigeria and are from the states, the affected states? What have they been doing for all this while? So I condemn in totality their action. I'm not saying that I'm not in support of what they said, but I condemn them. And as far as I'm concerned, they don't have passion and compassion, and they are not interested in their communities. If they are, they knew all these criminals and they knew where they are. This has been my word. Everybody in northern Nigeria knew that 99.9% of these bandits of these criminals, of these kidnappers, are indigents of northern Nigeria, and they are citizens of northern Nigeria, and they attack locations they know, and they attack the people they know. And they have, in each of the local governments where this criminality is taking place, out of the local government headquarters, you cannot move out to 10 kilometers without reaching the hideout of the criminals. So, if at all we are serious, if at all the government, the Muhammad Buhari administration government is serious, and they have political and administrative will, and there is no interest somewhere, or they know the interest, and they are ready and willing to track that interest and deal with it decisively, so that a result base will be the outcome of what we are telling other counterpart of Northeast, counterpart of Southwest, counterpart of other regions, that this thing is not happening. But where are all these members? Is there any member of the National Assembly, or is there any member of the Senate, any senator, any distinguished senator that can tell me, can give me any evidence that he or she have ever went to their communities, sat with locals, discussed, invite probably professionals, either known or non-professional, technical and non-technical people, to sit down and conduct a root cause analysis and then make a presentation to the security information within the state. Because the reality is, it is either all the funds, the fundings we have been making, the funds we have been spending in purchase of hardware and other armaments, is either the money is being siphoned somewhere, or it's either the arms are yet to arrive in Nigeria. In the last 5-6 years ago, that government have been telling us that they have been spending money for the purchase of arms and whatever, or else it is very, very clear and glaring that we don't have enough and adequate personnel to fight this menace. It is very, very glaring. We don't have the personnel. Let's assume that if the government is serious, at each polling unit, you can mobilize unemployed, educated, and uneducated, young, agile, enthusiastic, and patriotic Nigerians who are wishing and willing to go out to provide needed support to help address this issue. Let me take you, for example, if each and every polling unit, you recruit 20 per polling unit, and if your political ward have 20 polling units, it means you will have 40. If you have 10 political wards, it means you will have 400. So if you have 400 times the number of local governments you have in all these locations, you distribute them among the DSS, among the police and the military. They are willing and they are ready. They are even ready to volunteer, even if you are not ready to pay them. Even the uneducated ones, you can use the old method used during the pre-war, dangerous and more havoc, because more arms are being proliferated, and there is no any measurable indicator that telling us, as we that were moving around the communities and conducting researches and conducting a physical and practical survey, a physical and practical monitoring, physical and practical kind of investigative research. It is very, very clear that the commitment of the government, the federal government, the state government, and the security operatives is very, very poor, and there must be interest somewhere. And nobody I mentioned, and I said nobody, I repeat myself, is ever ready to trust and track this interest, even though I always refer to Lai Mohammed's statement, Minister of Information, who recently moved around. I attended one of the meetings he had in one of the states of the northwestern states. He made mention statement far back, not recently, that they know the finances of this band, they know where these bandits are, and they know their finances. So if you know where they are, are you really a serious government? Why can't you deal with them decisively? Innocent lives are being killed. In the case of Zamfara and other states that shut down communication, I want to tell you that some of if you look at me in the last 1 week, I have shrinked because of what I saw in the ground. because of the situation I met in the local governments I visited. It's really pathetic. It's really pathetic. I'm telling you. And the outcome, when you will hear more terrible stories when the network is restored in Zamfara, when the network is restored in Kaduna after the closure, and when the network is restored in Zamfara, because the locals will expose the governors.
Dr. Getso, can you hear us? We seem to have lost. There's so much to unpack. I'm not sure what exactly, where all of this is headed. What we really would learn from all of this. But there's so much to unpack. Dr. Getso, there's people who have also made mention, because, that there is a possibility that there is insiders, there are inside players in the current government, both at the state and the federal level, that have made this fight difficult to win. There's those who've said that maybe there's people that are benefiting from the insecurity, and that's why they've, continued to let things fester. And of course, there's the religious, aspect of it. There's people who have said, why has it always been Southern Kaduna, that has continued to be victims of some of all of this? It's difficult to explain, it's difficult to understand. And of course, it might also be more hurtful seeing that the current administration rode into power claiming to have the answer to Nigeria's security challenges. Same thing with the Kaduna State Governor now, Nasser El-Rufai, and how much criticism that he poured out to the previous government of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And so I want you to share your thoughts on these. Is it possible, would you agree that there might be insiders that have made this fight difficult for the government to win, that have made, it hard, for us to win against the bandits? And also, what is the mood towards the current administration for people living in Zamfara and Nasarawa and Borno and some of all those places?
Well, let me first of all disagree with you and other people who have a view that what is happening is only affecting, it has a religious linkage, especially what is happening, that it is happening only in Kaduna South. Is Giwa Kaduna South? Is Giwa a Christian local government? Is Binongwari a Christian populated local government? Is Zaria a Christian populated local government? Is Zaria Kaduna South? Is Ikara Kaduna South? Is Makarfi Kaduna South? So we should stop sentimentizing this issue to the religion or linking it to anything religion, because as far as I'm concerned, if the true Muslims, the true Muslim scholars that bring Islam to Nigeria will come back, will fight the Muslims in northern Nigeria, because we are not practicing Islam. We are practicing something else. And if the Christian, the Orientalist will come back to Kaduna or will come back to Nigeria, will fight the Christians. So let's not hide under the disguise of religion and keep politicizing this security issue. It has no relationship, no iota of relationship. I was in Kaduna South, I was in part of Zango and Katam, I was in part of Kachia, I was in part of Kajuru, and I was in some part of also Kagarku and other southern Kaduna local governments. And I have been to other Muslims, highly populated Muslim local government. It has no relationship, no iota of relationship to do with religion. I disagree with this.
No, go on. Go on.
Yeah.
Let's hear you.
Yeah. So it is only the elite, the elite, the political elite, the economic elite, and the social elite, and the criminals in disguise that are hiding under the religion and are hiding under the tribalism, while they meet in Abuja and share Abuja and Lagos and wherever, they share contracts, they award contract to their friends and errands. They are the ones that always victimize me and you and tell us that hate Mr. Muhammad, he is a Muslim, hate Mr. John, he is a Christian. That is not the truth. I am a practical, a community-based researcher. And as I'm telling you that I have been in the northwestern state, I left my family for almost 19 days. I'm moving around, taking all the risks. I'm moving around all the crisis locations. And as far as I'm concerned, there is, I believe I cannot point out that there are any financer either in the government or outside the government, but definitely there is interest somewhere, and governments need to do the needful. As mentioned by the minister, the Minister of Information, that they know the criminals and they know where they are, and they know their finances. So if you know their finances, what are you waiting for? Yes, of course, nobody will say no, that there is no interest within the government or within the people, within the cycle of the government that are frustrating the efforts of the government. This has been revealed by many researches and many evidences. The Nigerian police force have presented some of the other security formations, staff of the other security formations who were found to be conniving with the bandits and others. So that is one. Two, many that have been arrested and apprehended and presented before the public by the Nigerian military or the DSS or the police at the national level, especially those who were presented recently by the Nigerian police force, PPRO, where he made a presentation of those the suspect of Bethel Institute in kidnappers. Yes. So looking at them, they have a military uniform. Where do they get it? Who is supplying them? And many of those who were arrested and apprehended and presented by Zamfara State Government, by Zamfara State Police Command, by Katsina State Police Command, by Sokoto State Police Command, by Kaduna State and other states that are affected, do have access to military hardware and software and other things, armament and others. Have the government ever provided us a feedback? Where do they get those things? And how can they get access to armories? Yes, I have heard the naval officer who made mention that in other states of our neighboring state, that is Niger, Benin and others, they don't have armories. The naval officer, I commend her for her confidence and courage for saying that we should build a wall fence so that we can protect ourselves. I don't think we have that maturity. I don't think we have the capability. What we need first is to even manage the crisis within. So those in the government, the governors themselves, they should look around themselves and critically conduct a critical assessment and critical review of who these people are, and also a trackers need to be a strategic action to develop a trackers so that they can understand and have an items for who is not doing what and who is doing what. Definitely within the security cycle there is interest. Definitely within the government, within the policy makers and policy implementers there is interest. Definitely we cannot say that, as far as I'm concerned, the security situation and these challenges of mandatory is manageable within 16 weeks. If at all the government is serious.
Okay, Dr. Getso, please hold on. I want to ask you very simple questions. All the while that there's been a security or telecommunications a ban in Zamfara State, and there would about to be in Kaduna State once it's approved, is it that the governors of this state would have no access to their phones and internet services? I want to start from just the governors.
The governors and their errands, they have access to their phones.
Okay, I'm saying that would they have access to would they have communication access and internet access?
In the Forest State Government House, internet is working.
Okay, fine. That's what I want to know. Mr. Getso, please hold on. I have very simple, straightforward questions. So if you say the Kaduna State government, all the while that there's been a suspension of telecommunications service, if they have internet access, if they have been able to make calls, why do you think the bandits and the terrorists who have been so smart to hijack military planes do not have the access to technology to still communicate while there's a suspension of communication networks? And really, if that's the case, what's then the essence of this telecommunication suspension, if not to provide just hard consequences on the economy of the state and just of the people?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the essence is political, because it's diverting from reality. Like I mentioned, suspension of the telecommunication is a secondary. Why can't we deal with the primary before we go to the secondary? Suspension of the communication will have effect on social life, will have a serious effect on economic life, on economy, and will have serious effect on managing the crisis.
Dr. Getso, where I'm getting at, Dr. Getso, please hold on. What I'm getting at is this: if you are saying that telecommunication networks are suspended in some states, but the governors of those states still have access to internet, and of course they can make calls. What makes us think that these terrorists cannot find a way to bypass that telecommunication suspension?
Well, I will not be surprised if these terrorists have other access to for communication. And of course, there are areas and belts in the forest that I know, and I'm very confident that some of the forest belts that I know and their connection and their connectivity within Nigeria and West Africa, some of the major generals and some of the brigadiers and colonels don't know them. I'm saying this in confidence. I'm saying this confidently, and I have been making this assertion before the directors of the SSS and the CVs of the police and all the commanding officers of the military. I know the forest much more than they know it. I know the link of the belt within the forest, of the belt within the communities that the security operatives, they don't know. And there are many other experts like me. And as far as I'm concerned, the criminals, since they are mobilizing ransom, I know, I'm very confident between yesterday when the governor made an announcement that he's going to, Kaduna State telecommunication is going to be shut down. I'm very optimistic and I'm very confident it will be an opportunity for the criminals to mobilize more other resources by probably subsidizing the prices of those that are in captivity, so that their parents or their relatives can collect them at a lower prices, and for them to make huge amount of money in between the time of shutting down the network and the time it was announced, so that they can utilize it in probably getting access through the trial and other things. I know Nigerian Communication Commission, I am doubtful if they have control over the Toraya and other communication and other technologies.
Right.
Definitely, from what we are seeing, these bandits and other criminals in this forest, I don't have any physical evidence, but from the behavior, because being the consultant on the terrorist network behavior, and their attitude, I believe criminality in the forest, I believe so much that they have other technology which cannot be broken by the National Communication Commission.
All right.
That is why
Dr.
after the
we would have to wrap up here.
A lot of stories will come out.
All right. We would of course love to speak with you as a follow-up to these discussions, and of course whenever Zamfara's telecoms ban is lifted, we'll get feedback from you also. Thank you very much for your time, as always, and we wish you a very, very beautiful day ahead.
Thank you for having me. Thank you and goodbye.
So that's it on Breakfast this morning. Interesting conversations regarding the ban or suspension of telecommunications networks in some states in northern Nigeria, especially Kaduna State this morning. That's where we say goodbye for today. I am Annetta Felix. If you miss out on any part of the conversation, you know where to find us.
Absolutely. It's simply at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Instagram, and same with our YouTube channel. I am Osaogi Ogbon.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, Abi.
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 I dey pay.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Thanks for joining us on Plus News Brief. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. The Kaduna State government has shut down telecommunication services in some local government areas of the state as part of critical measures towards ending banditry. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Laruwan, said the decision was taken after a meeting with relevant federal agencies who recommended the shutting down of telecom services ahead of the commencement of a military onslaught against bandits. He explained that the move is part of many steps taken to address the current security situation in Kaduna State and neighboring states in the northwest and north central regions. The Commission also announced the immediate ban of commercial and private motorcycles for a period of 3 months across the state, as well as the regulation of the schedule for commercial tricycle operators from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily.
Yesterday, 28th of September 2021, that the state government has formally requested the federal government to enforce the shutdown of telecom services in parts of the state identified by security agencies as requiring such measures. Relevant federal agencies have today informed the Kaduna State government that the processes for telecoms shutdown in part of the state have commenced. As part of the steps to address the current security situation in Kaduna State and neighboring states in the northwest, the following measures become effective from Thursday, 30th September 2021. 1. The complete ban on the use of motorcycle, Okada, for commercial or personal purposes for 3 months in the first instance. 2. Ban on possession of or wielding of dangerous weapons. Tricycles are allowed to operate only from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. All tricycles must remove all curtains. Movement of all tricycles are restricted from dusk till dawn. 4. All vehicles used for commercial transport must be painted in yellow and black within 30 days.
Following the state of insecurity across the country, and particularly in the southeast region, a group under the aegis of Igbo Conscience TIC has gathered to discuss and prefer solutions. The members of the Igbo Conscience group are calling on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the region, as well as deployment of increased security. PlusTvAfrica's Mercy Ebokpo tells us more.
Following the report of the death of Chike Akunyili, a medical doctor, and late Dora Akunyili's husband, prominent stakeholders are concerned about the state of security in the southeast. Convener of the Igbo Conscience Group, Joy Bukwe, and a special advisor to the governor of Lagos State on drainage and water resources, says government should improve the security of lives and properties in the region.
That the federal government should consider the option of declaring a state of emergency in the southeast, or at least some states in the southeast, to arrest this dangerous state of anarchy. Number 2, that the federal government draft more security forces and agencies to the southeast to save the people from themselves.
Concerns were also raised about the economy of the southeast region following the unrest. He said it has a semblance of what led to the first civil war in Nigeria that started in 1967 to 1970.
Businesses have been led west, and southeast is experiencing tremendous capital flight. What's more, Ndibo have lost hundreds of billions of naira since the self-imposed madness.
Meanwhile, some believe that the members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, are responsible for the unrest in the southeastern region. They're asking the federal government to restore order.
It's very clear that some individuals under the guise of IPOB have made up their mind to make Southeast ungovernable. And it is very clear that the majority of our people in the Southeast are feeling the pain of these few individuals. And hence, our call today should be taken very serious by the federal government.
The southeast region has been in the news recently with the reports of violence and killings, with the indigenous people of Biafra insisting on a sit-at-home order for residents in honor of those they term heroes. Mercy Ebokpo for PlusTvAfrica.
The Senate has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to declare bandits as terrorists in the country. The Red Chamber asked the president to wage a total war against the criminals, including bombing all their locations, to annihilate and eliminate them. The Senate also asked President Buhari to declare all known leadership of the bandits wanted and track them wherever they are for arrest and prosecution. These were part of the resolutions of the Red Chamber after considering a motion sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Gobir of Sokoto East and co-sponsored by 8 other senators. And the House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports Development, the National Orientation Agency and other relevant ministries, departments and agencies to collaborate with a view to reintroducing moral instructions as a compulsory subject in the national school curricula, as well as develop an effective orientation for the school system. In a motion moved by Honorable Uju Kingsley, worried that due to the removal of moral instructions from the school system, the current generation of youth lack the benefits of such lessons and may end up as nuisance in the society.
The House notes that the good morals and proper orientation are indisputable basic components of child upbringing and training. Thus, a lack of it, especially in young people, will result in societal decay. Records that moral instructions was a compulsory subject in Nigerian schools curriculum in the past. Worried that due to the removal of moral instructions from school system, the current generation of youth lacks the benefits of such lessons and may end up as nuisance in the society. Cognizant that with the increasing rate of violence and various forms of immorality in recent times, the need for reintroduction and enforcement of the teaching of moral lessons and orientation subjects and courses in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions.
The President said Nigerians need to be peaceful with one another to resolve the nation's challenges. Obasanjo, who is also the Balogun of Owu Kingdom, spoke at the traditional visit of the Olowu of Owu, Obadosumu, to the various sections in Abeokuta areas of. He said this after delivering the inaugural lecture of the National Defense College in Abuja on Wednesday. Jonathan told newsmen that politicians will only accept election results when they have confidence that the electoral umpire is fair to all. He, however, noted that when there is no confidence in the electoral management body, people will reject the results even before they are announced. And still in the news, the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, has presented 294.5 billion naira 2022 budget proposal to the State House of Assembly, tagged Budget of Growth and Opportunities. In the appropriation bill, the capital expenditure receives the highest allocation in the budget proposal for the first time since the administration came on board in 2019. A total of 156 billion naira, representing 52.7%, has been allocated to capital expenditure for the 2022 fiscal year. Recurrent expenditure stands at 138.5 billion naira, representing 43.3% or 47.3% of the total budget estimate.
We are aware of the complaints of our people regarding roads in Oyo State. We are determined to meet the yearnings for high-quality infrastructure in the state, and that is why we continually embark on road rehabilitation and reconstruction. In the immediate, we're carrying out palliative works on this road, especially the township road.
The 2022 budget proposal will record a higher level of performance than the one for the outgoing year. To this end, we are going to do everything possible to maintain the good working relationship existing amongst all 3 tiers of government, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. But we will also not fail in discharging our duties and providing the checks and balances crucial for achieving transparent, accountable, and prudent government.
And still in Oyo State, the state has asked the Court of Appeal sitting in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, to be joined in the suit by the Rivers State government against the Attorney General of the Federation. And that's in respect to the bid by the state to take over the collection of value-added tax from the federal government. The suit was instituted by the Attorney General of Oyo State, Professor Oyewo, in seeking an order of the appellate court to enable Oyo State to join the suit as an interested party. This was disclosed in a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the State Governor, Taiwo Adisa, on Wednesday. Governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State has clarified that the Northern Governors Forum did not oppose the idea of zoning the presidency to the south in 2023. Rather, it is against the language used in the resolution of the Southern Governors on the issue of power shift. El-Rufai said that Northern Governors were alarmed that their Southern counterparts would use the word must in their agitation for power shift to the south after President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure in 2023. According to the governor, the word must is at variance with democracy, which is characterized by negotiations and horse trading by parties. Now here in Lagos, the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, has charged youths to be patient, disciplined, and be abreast with happenings in their localities in order to make Nigeria great. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu gave this charge while speaking at a one-day youth sensitization program with the theme, Youths and Moral Values in an Evolving Society, Challenges and Recommendations. Plus TV's Lagos State House correspondent, Love Ikuku Oyedoku, tells us more in this report.
These are the youths of Nigeria.
These are the 143 youth groups represented here at the one-day sensitization program. The program is aimed at sensitizing them on the need to inculcate moral values despite the challenges in Nigeria. While welcoming the youth selected from both the formal and informal sector, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu enjoins them to be focused.
We know this is the Z generation. Quite a number of the youths rely on the social media for information. But then we also want to encourage you to please keep abreast with what is happening in your country, in your state, in your locality, and be on top of it.
In his brief remarks, Lagos State Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat told the youths, frankly, that there was no shortcut to success, but advised them to be solution providers.
So there can be reasons to complain. The question is, what are we bringing to the table? People complain around the world, around even the best country in the world. You can see what is happening in America. They are fighting everything, vaccine, no vaccine. So the question is, what do we want to do as a people?
But as expository and educative the program might seem, the youth, like Oliver Twist, expected more.
Truly believe that knowledge is indeed the wealth of the nation, then we must actually show it in everything that we do. We must try to encourage today's Nigerian youth to work, get educated, and after acquiring that education, get a good job.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who charged the youths to take advantage of various opportunities that are abound in the state, disclosed that the Lagos State Government Employment Trust Fund has given soft loans to over 40 startups.
Some people, they've given them grants directly. Some people, they've given them businesses, development write-ups, so that they can indeed develop their business to full future. They are under the canopy there.
The governor assured that the state will continue to create enabling environment for youth in governance. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedoku, reporting for Plus TV Africa.
And also in the news, 20 fashion designers who took part in the U.S. Department's International Visitors Leadership Program have been honored by the U.S. Consulate General in Lagos. Jacinta Obiuku was at the reception held for them. And of course, we'll bring that report in subsequent bulletins. Moving on to stories in other parts of Africa. Senior government officials in South Africa, including the former health minister, have been implicated by a corruption investigation into the awarding of a multi-million-dollar coronavirus contract. Zweli Mkhize, who resigned as health minister last month, denied knowing that his close friends were involved in a firm called Digital Vibes. The business was employed to educate the public about the virus. Some of the money from the tender was used to renovate the former minister's private property. His son also bought a car and withdrew close to $20,000. South Africa's Special Investigating Unit recommended that the president take action against Mkhize, and he has denied doing any wrong. Algeria on Wednesday started producing the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Chinese firm Sinovac, with production expected to be 8 million doses per month. Prime Minister Aimene Benadramene attended the launch of the production process at the factory in the eastern city of Constantine. He called it a big achievement. Production could be doubled there if needed, officials also added. And outside Africa, now North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says he is willing to restore severed inter-Korean hotlines next month. But he accused the United States of promising talks without changing its hostile policy to the country. Kim made the remarks at the reclusive country's rubber-stamp parliament, the Supreme People's Assembly. The assembly gathered for a second day to discuss the country's political, economic, and social agenda. And Israeli forces killed a Palestine gunman in the occupied West Bank on Thursday, and a Palestinian woman who tried to stab officers in Jerusalem's Old City, Israeli police said. The violence came amid tensions heightened by the deaths on Sunday of 5 Palestinians, at least 4 of them claimed as members of the Hamas militant group, in gun battles with Israeli forces carrying out raids in the West Bank. Police said in a statement Israeli soldiers and paramilitary police on an operation near the West Bank city of Jenin shot and killed a Palestinian who fired at them. A Palestinian medical source confirmed the death of a 22-year-old man. The Islamic Jihad militant group issued a statement saying he was one of its members and that he was killed in a shootout with Israeli forces. To business news now, the Nigerian Communications Commission has a word for Nigerians. Those who fail to link their SIM cards to their national identity numbers would not be able to obtain some important documents. Those include driving licenses and passports. The NCC Director of Public Affairs, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde, disclosed this on Wednesday in a statement. He said the October 31st deadline for the linkage remains sacrosanct. And the 2021 Annual Statistical Bulletin for the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries released on Wednesday showed a drop of 543 million barrels in the crude oil reserves of Nigeria. Nigeria's oil reserves dropped from 37,453 million barrels in 2016 to 36,910 million barrels in 2020. The federal government had repeatedly stated that it was making efforts to grow the country's oil reserves in a bid to increase Nigeria's revenue from crude sales. The target of the federal government was to increase Nigeria's oil reserves from the 36,910 million barrels to 50 billion barrels in the short to medium term. And this was disclosed by the Director and Chief Executive, Department of Petroleum Resources, Sarki Awallu, during a workshop with industry partners. To entertainment news now, a judge has suspended Britney Spears' father from the legal arrangement. The arraignment gave him control of her life after Spears accused him of years of abuse. Jamie Spears was appointed her guardian in 2008 amid concerns over her mental health. On Wednesday, a judge handed the role to a man appointed by Spears. Mr. Spears denied any abuse, and he has filed to end the conservatorship after Spears requested another guardian. In sports news, Cristiano Ronaldo grabbed an injury time winner as Manchester United came from behind to secure a 2-1 Champions League Group F win, and that was over Villarreal at Old Trafford on Wednesday. After squandering a series of chances in the first half, Villarreal took a deserved lead in the 53rd minute. A counter-attack was finished off by Paco Alcácer, who turned in Anot Danjuma's low cross. Yet United struck back 7 minutes later with a cleverly worked free kick. Bruno Fernandes chipped the ball deep to Alex Telles on the left, and the Brazilian fired home a perfect volley. United lost their opening group game away to Young Boys in Bern, and they had been far from impressive. But a cross from Fred in the final moments found its way to Ronaldo at the back post, and he fired home the winner.
Very happy with his performance. Second half, they had more of the ball. It was still open, and they deserved to lead. But, Old Trafford is magic. Champions League, Old Trafford. Sometimes that history can, with helped us. And tonight, Cristiano, of course, came up with a good goal, and Alex scored a fantastic goal. That's just what he's done throughout his career. He's so strong mentally. He just stays in the game. I've seen him all day today, the way he's built himself up for this game, how focused he's been, and when he gets that one chance, it's a goal.
And that's the news brief. For more, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Osaogie Ogbola. Thanks for watching.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Here are success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.